Hello, White Sox fans, and welcome in to an impromptu Sox On Tap postgame show. It's been a while since we've done this, and I'm joined tonight by Bez Beyond the Pen. NWI Steve was out there at the ballpark tonight. Can't join us, Bez, but we're going to hold the fort down and talk about a White Sox winner. Before we do that, make sure you're following the show at Sox On Tap. You can follow Bez at Bez Beyond the Pen, myself at Tony On Tap. Bez, it feels really good to be here right now. It's almost midnight on a Tuesday night in Chicago. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
A lot better, because I can't believe what I just saw. It's rare over the last how many years, I don't even know, that the White Sox would snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat. Usually the opposite happens. However you say that correctly. It's midnight and my brain's not firing on all cylinders. But I still can't believe that baseball got out of the park. I'm feeling really good, Tone. I'm feeling great.
I'm glad you're feeling good, and I hope that everybody that tunes into this show, whether they are tuning in now live or tomorrow morning or whenever you are able to consume this show, are also feeling good about a White Sox winner. 6-5 final over the Braves in 10 innings, or should I say NWI Steve's Barbs.
Sorry, Steven.
Yeah, sorry, Steven. I know he didn't,
he wasn't pulling for the Barbs.
He was not pulling for the Barbs. He was there rooting for the Chicago White Sox. So maybe they're not his Barbs right now.
No,
they're not.
I would be, or maybe that's hashtag confirmed.
Hashtag confirmed. Thank you, BZ. This was an interesting game. 80s night. You and I were not at the ballpark, so we got to take in the broadcast. I don't want to go too extended into this, Bez, but I want your takes on just the broadcast booth tonight. Now, last weekend, we didn't have John Schriffen in the broadcast. This is a hot topic on White Sox Twitter because Connor McKnight and our guy, Dan Plesac, was in the booth. There were a lot of takes online, and then, you get the off day Monday. Game starts tonight. Kind of forgot that it was 80s night myself. This was reported that Bob Costas would be in the booth. And then you get Bob Costas with Steve Stone. And there were a lot of interesting takes out there on the timeline tonight, Bez. So I want your reaction to 80s night from CHSN.
I'm with you as well. I completely forgot that it was 80s night. It's been a busy day and a busy couple of days. And I didn't completely forgot about it until the pregame. And, all the graphics came out, and that package was sweet, in my opinion. You had the Clapper commercial. You had Where's the Beef, the old Wendy's commercial. All of that was fantastic. The broadcast itself, pretty sloppy between Steve and Bob. It was just kind of going off the rails. They talked a lot of 80s baseball, some interesting stuff, and I don't know, that the conversations went in a lot of different directions. Overall, it was a bit weird. It was a bit cool. It was a little bit of everything, and kind of perfect for what turns out to be is going to be a really memorable night for this season and for years to come. So.
I agree largely with your thoughts here. The broadcast TV graphic package I thought was absolutely phenomenal. It brought me back to just baseball nostalgia. Loved it. The yellow writing, underneath everything. It felt like you were going back in a time capsule. Not sure if this is the best use of a Tuesday night ball game. Could have been something that they did when you've got more people tuned in. Then again, Braves, White Sox, you can throw that in there. Here's where I am pissed off, guys, because it was reported, and we saw tweets from Jeff Agrest probably back, like, I don't know, somewhere around like May 27th to 29th, somewhere in that range, that this was going to take place. I
Yeah,
thought, one, and you'll disagree with me on this, they should bust out the 83 jerseys.
sure.
Now, I
Makes
know
sense.
you're not a big fan of it, but like, hey, it's 80s night.
Makes sense.
Number two, I remember Jeff having a couple of tweets out there that Steve Stone and Bob Costas were going to be in the booth. And my initial question to that was who's going to do play-by-play if this is what's going on. And while the broadcast was terrible, I feel like Bob mentioned like 4 or 5 times that he was not told that he needed to carry play-by-play. I feel like there's a tweet out there that said that from Jeff Agrest that Stone was going to carry the play-by-play. But Bob was the one who was talking all the time, and I've been searching feverishly to try and like go back and rewind and find all of this stuff. But again, we're pinched for time here, so I don't want to like make any accusations. But I felt like Bob sort of, and he even said it on the postgame show too, that he apologized that he was there to talk about 80s baseball, and they mentioned it a couple of times. This would have been good to do in 2024, and I agree with that. Would have been great to have a night off of the same old bullshit that we watched. But again, also, we've had some off-the-wall broadcasts in White Sox history. We go back to the Jason Benetti and Bill Walton game. There's some interesting White Sox broadcasts that are out there. Now, I could deal with less Cubs highlights. I feel like there was a full inning of this baseball game that I wanted to walk away from because we were talking about Ryan Sandberg and all that other stuff. Don't want to take away from all those great accomplishments. But when I tune into White Sox baseball, I want to hear about White Sox baseball. And I saw an interesting take tonight, Bez, from Matt Crawford, friend of the show. He didn't realize how much he missed John Schriffen calling a White Sox game until tonight. And I will make this point on our Sox on Tap postgame show here. I love homer announcers. That's when you have a national announcer, sometimes it's not so homerish. Like everybody who was complaining tonight about Bob Costas, I kind of felt that way during the Jason Benetti era of White Sox broadcasts. I felt like there was too much talk about national topics. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, Jason wasn't perfect like a lot of people would leave you to believe. I didn't really care that Jason did national games. It was, I didn't care that he did football. I didn't care that he did basketball. That was apparently a badge of honor for a lot of people that their home broadcaster did stuff like that, was good enough to do stuff like that. Never mattered to me. I didn't like that sometimes he sounded a little more excited when the other team did something good. I don't really get into that part of it, but overall, I like Jason. I enjoyed it. I didn't think he was bad by any means. It was pretty cool that he's a guy from the Southwest suburbs, my age, grew up a Sox fan, became a broadcaster, very relatable. But with Schriffen gone these last 4 games, I mean, Connor McKnight, I've met the guy a couple of times. Great guy to talk baseball with, really nice guy. Great at his sideline reporter gig, not a good play-by-play man. And he did not make a good pair with our guy Dan Plesac. I was not impressed there. And I mean, you want to hear the homerism in the broadcast, and when it comes to those big plays and highlights, John nails it. John nails those calls, and as does Len. If you haven't heard the call from Len and DJ from the radio on Montgomery's homer, also fantastic. But yeah, we didn't. It would have been nice to. It would have been a great game to have some homerism in the broadcast.
Comment in here from our guy Nightmare32. Guys, I believe it was one of your posts that the recent Benetti argument happened, and I stand by my stance that Benetti was a stooge, and his crying tone when the Tigers lose, I immediately smile. Thank you for tuning in tonight, Matthew. Hey, I was happy when the Sox beat the Tigers as well, Matthew. I have to say it. But I mean, this is the only reason I bring this up is because it is something that people talk about online all the time. They talk about this. Ideal Booth, again from our guy Nightmare 32, better PvP guy with Plesac and AJ. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of AJ in the booth. Love AJ as a person. Love his podcast. Love everything. He's the only White Sox jersey I own. I feel like he's a little too national for me right now. I like Plesac when he hops on. I would replace AJ with Gordon Beckham. I don't know about you, Bez, but thoughts on that? I think that's an interesting boot, though.
I think that Gordo has definitely grown on me over the last couple of years. He's gotten better as he's gone, and him and John have started to mesh much better than I think John and Stoney mesh. But
depends who you ask. We've seen some articles come out today about the broadcasting stuff, and we've got to get to a White Sox game. So final thoughts on the broadcast stuff. I do enjoy Triffin. I thought tonight was special. I don't think that you need to really have such a huge complaint about it if you're a White Sox fan that was watching this ball game and pissed off that you didn't have someone like John in the booth. I think that they planned this well enough in advance, and I kind of feel bad for Bob that he was hung out to dry on this one, because he talked about it on the postgame show too. Didn't keep score, didn't have lineup cards, and I kind of want to throw that back to CHSN. Prepare the guy a little bit,
Right.
I think that there was some stuff there that maybe they did him a little dirty. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what the prep is for that, but it didn't seem like he was prepped at all.
It almost seemed like he thought he was just coming in to do an inning or two and not the entire game.
Yes.
That's kind of the whole vibe of the whole thing, or the way the sloppiness played out. It makes you leads you to believe it was last minute. Like, hey, can you do the whole game? But yeah.
It's like when Chris Getz or someone walks into the booth and the interview goes too long. They're normally able to shut that down.
Right.
And this one just kept dragging. And I saw all the posts about, I'm done with Bob Costas now. Let's get to White Sox baseball. And anyway, we're done with Bob Costas now. Let's get to White Sox baseball. Bez, 6-5 final over the Braves. One of the best records in baseball. The Sox were able to take care of business today. Braden Montgomery called up this morning. Bez, were you surprised by this move today?
Not terribly, because I called this out on Twitter when last year Kyle Teal got called up around this time of year to right around the Super 2 deadline. I won't go into the specifics of that, but if a player ends up in the top percentage of players with 2 to 3 years of service time, they get to arbitration a year earlier. So teams are very careful about when they call players up around this time of year. And he got called up they did the same thing with Kyle Teal last year. So I'm not surprised at all by the timing. But you know what? They waited till they had a home series. So, to make his debut at home. That was a good call. I guess I was more surprised that we found out on Twitter from some guy who got a picture with Braden Montgomery at O'Hare from his friend and posted it online, and that's kind of how we found out this was happening. So that was interesting. But no, I mean, he's been in Charlotte now for at least a month. He's got well over 100 plate appearances. He's doing well. It wasn't a premature call up by any means, but I'm glad he's here. And the team needed a spark, and he brought it today.
He absolutely did. Braden Montgomery, what a way to start your major league career, Bez. obviously the first at bat, I remember being in the stadium for Yohan Moncada's first at bat, right?
Historic walk.
Historic walk. He winds up striking out in his first at bat, but comes back in the third inning and drives in his first RBI of his career. Bez, kind of a special moment there.
Yeah, absolutely. It got the White Sox within 1 run. I think that came after Vargas's homer. He slapped the ball the other way. Just a nice piece of hitting to get the team on the board and establish yourself in the big leagues. You love to see it, and we've seen just so many debuts this year. You've kind of lost track of a lot of them, but this is one you're not going to forget.
There has been a lot of call-ups this season. It's kind of insane. I think you and I were texting back and forth about this a couple of weeks ago on how many players are going to hit this 26-man roster.
Yeah.
And we were doing over-unders on it. This was our last show, actually, that you and I did together.
What did we end up deciding?
I've got to go back and figure out what that number was. But here, we just keep adding to this list. It's kind of insane. Anyway, I was looking at my timeline at a certain point of the night, and we start the game with Brandon Iser. Obviously, he couldn't get out of the first inning. Not ideal. Understand why the White Sox went with the opener tonight. But Eric Fetty comes in, winds up throwing 5 innings, gives up 6 hits, only 2 runs, strikes out 4. And there was a lot of complaints online. And Bez, tonight you found all of those complaints.
I did. And, it's not really as much of I'm a big Eric Fetty guy, and he's actually good, and you need to give him some more.
I would never say that you were a huge Eric Fetty guy, Bez. I don't think you've ever.
I just want to put it out there
for
anyone who's listening, is that it's not necessarily a defense of Fetty, but we are talking about it's a 4-0 game in the 3rd inning. Okay. I understand the way we've been conditioned as Sox fans, where over the last 2 or 3 years, when you're down 4 runs that early, the game's over. That's it. But we are almost halfway through the season. This is the best come from behind team in baseball. We've seen them do this countless times now, where we've overcome a deficit early, come back and won a game. That's part of why this season has been so fun. And people are throwing in the towel, DFA Eric Fetty, why is this guy still on the team? All of those types of comments in the 3rd inning. He got off to a rocky start. Then he settled in, because if you've ever watched baseball before, you've seen pitchers do this. They get, a little roughed up early, then they settle in. He only gave up 1 earned run over 5 innings. He had a nice start, which followed up his last start, which was a nice start. So have some damn patience, okay? So I don't have to retweet everybody whose takes age poorly.
Well, those takes did age poorly.
I mean, come on, Tony.
You can go to Bez's timeline and you can find all of them. I don't think we've got time to go through every single one of them. But I thought that Eric Fetty did his job tonight. And the White Sox offense was there to bail him out. And that's what's most important in this. Bez, we have to talk about all the bunts. We have to talk about it. It was painful. It was painful to watch.
It was very painful, and I do appreciate, and you said this and put a tweet out there, Tone, that you appreciate Will Venable taking the accountability there and just basically overmanaged this game with all the bunts, and none of it worked out, and I appreciate him taking the blame for that. As you said, very respectable move.
I do. I loved the fact that he got up there in front of the Chicago media and said, I take accountability for this. I gained a lot of respect for Will Venable today. It was wrong. Every single armchair manager knew
Yeah.
that it was wrong when it was happening. And then there was an opportunity for Chase Mydroth to drop a bunt down with runners on first and second. And Chase grounds into a double play. And I thought that would have been an appropriate time to bunt when you've got a tie ball game and you need to scratch one more run across. This wasn't like watching, last night's ball game. Bez, I don't know if you stay up late and watch baseball. I think you do. But if you were watching in Vegas last night, that A's ball game where, the Brewers and the A's are scoring 4 runs apiece in extra innings, tonight did not seem that way at all. The ballpark was playing very large tonight. Seemed like a lot of balls were getting knocked down in the outfield, winding up as outs. You want to keep the ball on the ground. I can understand the rationale behind trying to make some of these bunts. We got a comment coming in here. Will said Chase had the bunt call, but saw the corners in and decided to swing away. There was a lot of poor execution tonight from the White Sox on all fronts, from the manager to some of the players. A lot of cutoff men not hit. There are a lot of things to complain about in this baseball game, but they found a way to fucking win. And that's why we're doing the post-game show right now. Dude.
Yeah, I mean,
happy he took accountability for it.
I do too. And I mean, there were some things that, are on the players as well. Like you said, in extra innings, throwing through instead of hitting the cutoff man and allowing that guy, I forget who it was who had that hit down the line in extra innings to score the first run. He was able to get to second because of that. You had, the bunts that weren't executed very well. Acuna's was pretty bad. That first one that Mydroth just ran right into. You had Fetty drop the ball on what would have been a double play that allowed a run to score. There was some things that could have really bit them that they were able to overcome. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about using Tyler Gilbert where they did, bringing in Davis to relieve him and get out of that jam was another escape act. So, like you said, they overcame all these things, but plenty of blame to go around. Not a very well played baseball game, but they figured out a way to get it done.
They did, and Bez, Montgomery mania. We have to talk about it. You go into extra innings, the Braves get a run across the board on what was, I mean, in most scenarios, that's the killer for the White Sox, right? You're at home. The other team is able to drive in the ghost runner, the thing that shouldn't be there at all to start extra innings. They're able to scratch that run across. And the Braves were able to scratch that run across on the first at bat of the 10th inning. I thought right there this was done. Sox able to get away with no more damage than that. And that brings us to the ninth or the bottom of the 10th inning. Bez, walk me through what happens here because it was magical.
Well, you've got. I watched that ball, and I didn't think he got all of it. But the ball carried. It looked like it was going to be a double. I was happy that, hey, we're not going to lose. We're at least tying this game, and we probably have a guy standing on second after the left fielder plays this ball off the wall. But the ball goes off the top of the wall, and, even with White Sox luck, sometimes that ball just like dies and falls back onto the field. And today it just went over. But we're catching all the breaks this year, and I couldn't believe it. I don't think Braden Montgomery in his postgame interview couldn't believe it. He said he couldn't hear anything, and his teammates told him that it was really loud. So Just pretty unbelievable, Tom. I still can't. Well, I mean, maybe I should start believing this stuff because we've seen a lot of great walk-offs this year.
As they said, don't stop believing. Maybe it's time to start. Maybe it's time to start. I don't know how to feel about this team at this point. There's been a lot of things that don't make sense, but it's been pretty fun. And I know that a big vibes guy that we both know has been frequenting the ballpark at 35th and Shields a lot more than he has in recent years.
He's there a lot. I don't know how many games Steven's been to. He's seen a lot of wins, though. I mean, they are 17-3 in their last 20 games at home. That's a pretty remarkable stretch. I can't remember the last time. I mean, it had to have been 2021 if they ever did anything like that at home. So
I don't even know if they did that in 2021.
They might not have. So good for Steven. I'm glad he's happy. I'm glad he's #back. I'm not sure he'll ever.
We need a back hashtag online.
I don't think he ever will be.
I don't know if he will.
I think a lot of people want to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I'm sure he was pretty thrilled leaving that park today. He's a big vibes guy now. It's sad Steve is long gone.
Sad Steve is long gone. Bez, that home run that Braden Montgomery hit was only the 5th walk-off home run that a player in MLB history has hit.
In their debut?
In their debut.
Wow.
That's some wild shit.
It's a pretty wild season. Times have changed. Is it safe to say times have changed?
I think times have changed. This could all go to like hell in a handbasket tomorrow. But I don't know, man. We're heading towards mid-June. This has been fun.
Just enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Bez, a 6-5 victory in 10 innings over the Braves. I know you like to say don't get swept. They're facing Chris Sale tomorrow. The forecasts are looking kind of iffy for the next 2 days. I know we've got Davis Martin on the mound. That was confirmed by Scott Merkin. Can they win this series? Final predictions before we get on out of here.
They can, yes. Will they? Hopefully they don't get rained out. I really would hope not to see a doubleheader. I don't want to see that. I'd like to see Colson Montgomery back in the lineup. That would make me feel a little bit better because, even though it's Chris Sale, I like to have Colson back in the lineup because he can hit. Yeah, they can win this thing. You got 2 shots at it now. But at a bare minimum, we won't get swept. And that's what my concern was going into this. I did not feel good at all about going into this series, going into this game, going into this whole stretch of 18 games that are coming up. But yeah, absolutely. We can take this series.
One more comment in here from Nightmare 3-2. Mid-June, the Sox have a handful of all-star hopefuls. That's cool and tough. Another one in from Chris Mullen. Chris Sale, don't get cooked. I hope so. I hope we do that to the Dodgers as well. Hey, I gave predictions on the last show just last night, Baz. I said that they can go 4-2 in this homestand.
Win both of these. Okay.
I'm sitting pretty now. I'm hoping that it continues. But Bez, that's just about all the time we had for tonight. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, just get Montgomery back in the lineup, keep the game close against Chris Sale, and get some runs late. Let's walk him off again.
I love it. Love when the White Sox win. It's always a happy night. Bez, thanks for joining me on an impromptu Sox on Tap postgame show.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have for today. Make sure you're following the show at Sox on Tap on X. You can follow Bez at Bez Beyond the Pen, myself at Tony on Tap. And make sure you're going to ontapsportsnet.com for all of your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Bez, close it down how we always do. White Sox forever.
White Sox forever.